I came back to Tekken 8 after not playing the game for almost 3 full months, and I was able to reach Tekken Emperor rank with Fahkumram. I know that it is not the highest rank in the world or anything like that, but it is still a pretty significant achievement for someone that has not played the game in such a long time, taking into account that fighting games can be rough. And I basically want to talk about how having a long hiatus from Tekken 8, being someone that plays multiple fighting games, has given me a new perspective around the future of this game and why it might be brighter than its community thinks, and basically talk around why Tekken 8 still has the potential to be a legendary entry in the Tekken series, even though it is surrounded by controversy and there's a ton of problems that still need to be fixed. So let me know in the comments what you think about the future of Tekken 8, if you are with me or hate my idea. Basically, I don't mind. If you hate me, I just want to see what you think, and let's get into the discussion. And my first point, it's gotta be the relevance of fundamentals. I think that we can all agree that Tekken 8 has kind of hit rock bottom when it comes to balance problems and issues, and even though the developers have tried, actively to make changes during Season 2 to make the game better, those changes have been small, they are like baby steps, so the game is kind of like on a similar state. So when I came back to the game after such a long time without playing it, and playing a new character that I don't know anything about, I thought everyone is going to smoke me. Like, I'm gonna have like 20% win rate, everyone is gonna cheese me in every single round, and I started on like Mighty Ruler, and I thought that basically I was never gonna win. And I said, okay, I'm still gonna try to play good fundamentals because I play multiple fighting games, and I know that even when a game it's extremely cheesy, you can kind of still win if you know what you're doing. And I was really surprised with the fact that I got to a really high rank, technically, with almost pure fundamentals. Like, I played around whiff punishing, I played around good usage of plus frames and frame traps, I played, trying to basically be as safe as possible. So, maybe the most cheesy thing I did with Fahkumram was using a lot of highs that people were not ducking. And I would consider that more knowledge check than actually cheesing. And then, of course, I also played many different types of players, and you would argue, okay, you're gonna win with fundamentals against good players because they're actually gonna respect you, but when you play against, the Mashy Alisa, the Mashy Safina, the Mashy Xiao Yu, you're gonna lose. And I lost some fights, but I mostly won, still, even against the extremely cheesy Mashy players that don't really know what the hell is going on. They have never learned how to play the game, they just learn a lot of like offensive, flowcharts with their character. So it was a really nice surprise, and it gives me a lot of hope for the future of the game, that even though when it is in the rock bottom of balancing, when it is in its arguably worst state, you can still win based on mostly universal fundamentals, like with punishment, like good plus frame usage, like small Tekken and basically poking, and also by trying to play good defense. It is arguably a decent silver lining on the future of the game, and it is technically also a hint of good gameplay design for the game, because if you can win based on fundamentals even when the game is at its worst balancing state, it means that the problem of the game is not at the core of the gameplay design, and it is more related to balance decision and changes, like frame data, and it is not, connected to the more core section of the gameplay. So in that sense, I think that as a first point, it is very relevant to talk about this, and also it opens the second point that I want to talk about. And the second topic that I want to talk about is gameplay design in itself, because many people, I believe, see the gameplay design of Tekken 8 as a flaw, as a problem for the game as an entry in the Tekken series. And when you see people online, they tend to complain and gravitate into specific properties or mechanics that are universal and are at the core of the design of gameplay for the game. Like, for example, heat and rage arts. And of course, those complaints are very easy to justify. Like, you don't need to be a genius to say to anyone online on Twitter or YouTube that heat and rage arts are way too oppressive, insufferable to deal with in every single round, and that they should be weaker probably and not decide almost every single round that you fight in the game. I completely agree with that, I'm not against it, but what I want to say in this specific section is that I don't believe that the gameplay design of this game is flawed at its core by definition. I think that rage arts and heat can be a very intricate and interesting mechanic if you balance them well. The problem is that the developers have taken one bad decision into another, specifically around the core properties of the gameplay, which you have to see and deal with every single round. So you basically get like PTSD if you play too much of this game and you hate those mechanics, because they're balanced so bad that you end up, just suffering because you lose half of your fights because of heat or because of rage art. So in that sense, what I really want to maybe put in this specific discussion is that I don't believe that rage art and heat are bad by definition. I think that they can be very good depending on how you deal with them overall, and the developers clearly do not know how to make them fair, fun, and interesting enough. So I think that we might need a lot of time to see these developers actually take a good decision around these core mechanics, but when they do, they could end up being very good fighting game mechanics. So I think that when it comes to gameplay design, Tekken 8 is not flawed at its core. It has actually a really good potential, and it can be a really good entry in the series again in pure gameplay terms, but it seems like the developers don't know what the hell they should do with the specific core properties that you have to deal with in every fight. And now we move into the third or last point in the discussion around why I think that Tekken 8 has a brighter future than what most people think, and it is actually everything else that is not connected to gameplay. And let me, explain this, because I didn't play this game for like 3 months, right? I didn't even touch the game for an hour, and I play a ton of different fighting games. Like, I love the genre overall, not only Tekken. And during these 3 months, I played at least a couple of hours, like 6 different fighting games. I played Street Fighter 6, I played KI 2013, I played Dragon Ball FighterZ, Guilty Gear Strive, Ultimate Marvel 3, I also played Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and probably even more games that I'm not even remembering. And do you know what I thought when I turned, Tekken back on, and I played some Tekken 8 online and laughed Fahkumram? I thought, dude, there's so much about this game that is awesome, that is not connected, to the basic complaints around all the gameplay problems. Like, this game as a product overall, not only when it comes to the huge balance issues that it has so much going for it. And at the end of the day, a fighting game is many things, not only gameplay. Gameplay is of course at the core, because it is a fighting game and we play to fight. We don't play to just see the stuff in the screen or maybe see a cinematic, but the other things are still there. And when you think about other fighting games, they really are not even close to some of the stuff that this game can offer. For example, the presentation of this game is absolutely stunning. This is the best looking fighting game out there, and it's not even close to something like SF6, which is the other, like high graphical fidelity game at the moment. Like, Tekken 8 is miles away from Street Fighter 6 when it comes to how good it looks. And also the roster of this game is pretty freaking good, man. Like, many people maybe complain about it a little, but this roster has a ton of amazingly cool characters, like very, basic legacy characters that we need to have. Also, the newcomers of Tekken 8 are very cool. They are some of the coolest newcomers on a fighting game in the last decade, like Reina, Victor. They are very amazing characters, and for very different ways. How they look, the way in which they play maybe can be a little controversial if you think someone like Victor, because he has weapons, but he's still very fun to play, even if he's a little annoying to deal with. So in that sense, I think that this game has so much going for it that is not present on only the gameplay, that when the gameplay of this game gets a little fixed, this game is gonna be a freaking banger, dude. Like, it has everything to be a really, really amazing high quality game. And it's not only even the presentation and also the roster. Like, the game has a really good single player mode. It's arguably top 2. Like, the only other single player mode that is actually at this level is World Tour from SF6, and personally I prefer something like the story mode of Tekken 8 than World Tour mode. Then you also have all the classic arcade battles. You have, Tekken Ball. Imagine sometime later if we get something like, for example, Tekken Force once again, or some sort of like action RPG inside the single player options. And also the game has a very good training mode, arguably the best training mode out there after SF6. Like, SF6 has the best training mode, but it is still super high quality. So, like, again, the game has so much going for it that I believe that if the devs actually make their work the best they can, and all the balance issues are basically at the lowest level they can be, and the core gameplay mechanics are balanced well, I think that this can be one of the best fighting games ever for Tekken as a series. So well, thank you guys once again for watching the video. Let me know in the comments if you agree with all that I'm saying or you hate me for everything that I said in this video. If you do, I don't mind it. Again, just say in the comments what you think, because that is what I love to do with videos. I love to talk with people in the comments and hear what they think and see what the community stands around these topics. And of course, if you can like and subscribe the video, it means a ton. Thank you for the support and have a great weekend.
Open